got it to work. Okay.
Isn't this fun? We're in like this new strange DNA. Like,
I know. Wow. Okay.
I haven't seen you for years. Yay!
It's been so long. I mean, I've seen your beautiful face through all these videos, but we haven't talked in a while in person.
I know. It's first time seeing you. See, this is how we could get connected.
All of this technology is amazing, isn't it?
I know. So I'm just adjusting my camera for a little bit before we get started at 12. Yeah. So at least I can kind of see everybody and making sure nothing falls.
Yeah, I know. And I'm sort of precariously balancing my phone here on top of my dresser. So hopefully
that's what I do too. Believe it or not, I'm like obviously I'm a KPC, but also I just balance in between a couple boxes I have. I was like trying to get a stand. Nah, it's okay. Well, let me close my door really quick.
Yeah, no problem. Hi, Elysia. I see you there.
Yay. Hey.
Oh my gosh, I'm looking at everyone who's logging in here, and I see a few of my friends and a few of my students and a few of my colleagues.
I know, this is like the best thing. You're like, hey, where is everybody?
Hi, Lisa.
And my marketing gal, Leah, she's also not here, so she can wave hello to you too, because she joins us every week, of course.
Great. Hi, Leah.
So we're at 12 here. I usually like to give it about a minute to have everybody kind of just joining in, because they usually say, 12 o'clock. So again, thank you everybody who are joining me. Hey, Leah. Yay. This is the only time she's seen me dress up. She's like, last time I met you in t-shirts and everything. I'm like, yeah, the only time I dress up is if I have to go on live. Everything else is like hair everywhere.
I know. I feel like I'm leading a double life here during quarantine, because half of the time I'm at home in t-shirts and jeans with my baby, and then half of the time I have to go into work to my clinic, and then I have to get in front of Zoom to teach my classes, and I have to look presentable from the waist up, at least.
I know. It's like, this is kind of strange. I'm like, I think I wear my legging more often than when I was trying to get my license in yoga. Aw, Leah's like,
thanks, Leah.
Thank you, Leah. All right, so I'm gonna get started here. And well, again, thank you so much for joining our IG live session today. It's so great to be seeing you. It's really always nice to get reconnected to practitioners that we work with in the past.
Yeah.
So I want to give you a minute. So can you just take some time to introduce yourself, of what you've been up to, who you are, for the audiences listening?
Yeah, absolutely. So my name's Gretchen Badami, and I am a doctor of traditional Oriental medicine. I studied out here in California. I've had my license for about a decade. I have a private practice here in Santa Monica, practice with a handful of other amazing practitioners. And I teach at Emperor's College, and there I teach in the herbal medicine department. I have taught intro to herbs, and then I currently am teaching the Pharmacopoeia series, which is the introduction to herbal medicine, where the students learn all of the herbal medicine individual herbs, which is their foundation, before they then start learning about formulas and how to prescribe them. I also teach some of the classes that are on more of the traditional theory called Zong Fu. And so I've been teaching there for about a decade. I used to work in administration as a dean at the college. And then my newest adventure is that I'm also starting an herbal company. I've co-founded it with an amazing colleague and practitioner of mine, and I think we'll talk about that a little bit later. As I'm I just want to mention
you're picking up a little bit. Is it my end or is it your end?
I just saw you freeze up. Could you hear and still see me?
Yep.
Okay.
We are back on live. Cool.
Okay, great. Yeah, I wanted to comment just in the beginning here about herbal medicine, because as a part of my background throughout my life, I've tried to live holistically, and that includes a lot of things. That includes exercise, that includes, nutrition, a well-balanced diet, avoiding processed foods, preservatives, all those sorts of things. And in terms of taking care of your health, that also extends into what forms of medicine you use. And, you know, when people have an acute disease, if you break your arm or if you're having a heart attack, of course, Western medicine is amazing. But for preventative, for trying to stay healthy, for chronic and lifestyle diseases, I've always opted towards using more natural means, balancing my diet, and utilizing herbal medicine. And so that's always been a part of my background. And once I started studying acupuncture and oriental medicine, I was thrilled to be able to learn all about these herbs, begin prescribing them, and then now be able to promote herbal medicine to all of my students and to my patients. And the interesting thing is that a lot of people think, oh, herbs are just something, you know, very mundane. You maybe take a few and you probably don't feel the effects, and maybe they just give you a little bit of energy, but not a big deal. And what people don't understand is that herbal medicine is very powerful medicine. And when you use it through a practitioner who prescribes you herbal formulas for your body and for your symptoms and what's going on with you, it can change your life and help you to avoid more drastic means that, of course, may have side effects or things like that. So one of the things I love doing is talking to students about how they can, in the future, as practitioners, promote herbal medicine and explain it to their patients and explain it to my own patients, that it's not just some little pick-me-up. It can actually be used to treat and manage imbalances in the body. And through what we're learning right now, what we're experiencing with COVID and with other issues of infectious disease, what people also don't know is that herbal medicine has a very long history of treating infectious disease. It's not really popular yet here in America. It is, of course, as you know, over in Taiwan and over in China, and their medical doctors prescribe herbs for infectious disease. We don't do it as much here, or at least it's not talked about as much here, but it is an option for people. And so I hope that this environment that we're in now, people are able to start learning about that, and practitioners are able to start talking about that more.
Yeah, that's very good that you're saying. You know, as much as we're waiting for this vaccine to come in to help us with COVID, it's also very important to know this is a time to take care of your health, to take care of your body, to make sure you have strong immune system. And, you know, my used to go to habit is take Advil, take Tylenol, you know, because it treats wondrous. But what does that really help you solve in your internal body? It doesn't really, you know, promote it. You have to take it from within. So I'm going to steer the direction a little bit. So you talked about you are right now, you know, teaching at Empress College, and of course, starting your own company, the Herbal You. Can you share a little bit about how you came to know about KPC?
Oh, yeah, of course. So I've been familiar with KPC since I began studying the medicine as a student. When you're a student studying, you learn all about various herbal companies and how to distinguish between average companies, high quality, perhaps companies that are not so great quality, learning about quality control and learning about your options that you'll be using as a practitioner to be able to choose between companies. So I started learning all these things as a student, and I was fortunate enough to have an amazing practitioner who's now my colleague, Dr. Christine Chang, who had a connection with you guys. And I was able to be introduced to you, of course, and all of your colleagues at KPC early on when I was finishing up the program, and then right away when I became a practitioner. I started using your herbs in the clinic, and then through Dr. Chang, I was actually able to meet you guys and start working as an herbal consultant. I got to travel with you guys around the country. I got to visit your factory in Taiwan, which I would love to talk about in a few minutes. And just really get to know your company and the quality and the efficacy and the ethics and your family values and everything that encompasses KPC, which I want to talk about as we go through this, because it really is an amazing company. And, you know, I ended up doing my due diligence and looking at all of the various herbal companies that I could utilize, you know, and I use a few other supplement companies, and I pick and choose certain things, but for the core of my clinic, you know, I use KPC for all of my herbs because of your quality and the nature of your company. Yeah.
So
So
can
that's
you
how
talk a little bit about, because you mentioned about our differentiation is the quality control that we have, and you were fortunate enough to be able to go to Taiwan, which is something that we encourage. Can you talk about your experience over there visiting Taiwan? Like, what will you get to see, and what did you get to verify about? We're not just talking about it, but really verify about that quality.
Yes. So when I was a student and I was learning about herbs, and I heard about how they were produced, and sometimes they're fried and sometimes they're dried and steamed. And I had this vision of this little old man with a wok, kind of stir frying each little individual formula in a wok and then putting it in a bottle and giving it to the patient.
That's how most people envision it too.
Yeah. And I got to go to Taiwan and see the amazing facility. Okay. So for those of you listening, herbal medicine companies, these are very large, I think probably multi-million dollar industry. And you produce so many herbs and so many formulas for so many people internationally throughout the world that it's a very large facility. So I walked into this huge building, that is many stories and very large. And I mean, they have to meet all of the standards for international. KPC specifically has one that's the hardest one to meet, called the TGA PIC GMP.
Yay!
They're the highest international standards for herbal medicine, and it's a pharmaceutical grade. So the base binder that you have to use to sort of stick the herbs onto, which any pharmaceutical has to do as well. There has to be like something to put the chemicals onto. Is a pharmaceutical grade, non-allergenic sort of a potato starch. It has to meet the international standards for any sort of a pharmaceutical in terms of its consistency and quality, and checking for things like heavy metals and contaminants and things like that. So I was blown away at this facility that was like sterile and stark, it was of course I had decorations, but it was like all these machinery and the processing. They had these giant vats where the way they're produced is in the traditional method, where you take all of the herbs and then you put them all in the vat and you boil them, which is what traditionally would have been done. You would have had your little old man, with his little pot boiling up the herbs. This is still what KPC does, but they do it in a clean, sterile, state-of-the-art industrial facility that can make, I don't even know, you probably know, how many gallons of herbs can they make it once? It's like a giant silo. And they also have special processes for making sure that the herbs maintain their efficacy. So there's a lot of essential oils and chemical compounds that can be destroyed through the boiling process. Now, through modern science, we know how to preserve those. So KPC has this whole state-of-the-art scientific way of like extracting some of the oils, finishing the boiling process, and then putting all of the oils back in there so that it all it functions perfectly for the individual. You get the maximum amount of efficacy from the plant medicine. So I was amazed just to see all that.
So it's so great. Like, again, I always encourage people to come and visit us because, again, most people, especially those who are not practitioners, still envision it as, hey, everybody cook this herbs in this big giant bathtub, but they really don't understand that it's all actually cooked together in this facility that are actually certified. A lot of companies are actually certified, and especially for KPC, we have different certifications. So now let's talk about your company a little bit. So can you help me understand, like, you started a company called Herbal You. And of course, when you're sourcing out companies, you are looking for vendors to partner with. If you can talk about your company and also share with us a little bit why you chose KPC to help you manufacture your product. And there's a lot of great companies out you could choose from, but you chose us, which we're very honored.
Yes. So about 2 years ago, my colleague and friend Elysia Life, who is also a practitioner of Oriental medicine, we were talking about the idea of starting an herbal company. This was a dream that she had And I've always thought of it, but I'm not as business savvy, and I never actually thought that I would get around to doing it. I am just a big academic geek who loves herbs. She's more on the ball about these sort of things, and she took the initiative to say, hey, why don't we do this? And so a couple of years ago, we got together and started going through the process of what sort of formulas would we want to create? What is our goal with starting a company? What's our incentive, and what is our vision for the company? And how do we go about doing this? So our idea was that we wanted to bring traditional medicine to the modern human being. A lot of people, as I mentioned, envision Chinese medicine as this sort of mystical or maybe something foreign. You know, a lot of Americans just don't have an easy entry into learning about this medicine, and they don't have someone who can easily translate it and help them understand all of its benefits and why it would be helpful for them. So we wanted to be able to do that through a company. And so when we started thinking about what sort of an herbal company we would want to create and what sort of a manufacturer would we want to utilize, of course, my mind first went to KPC. I did, of course, do my due diligence and start looking around at all of my options, because as a company now, I had to look at everything from cost to quality to ease of production and lots of things. And ultimately, when I looked at the quality, which was our number one concern, the ethics and the values of the company that we'd be working with, the ability to communicate back and forth and get the good customer experience. We would be the customer, right, for the person who's manufacturing. You know, all of those things together really just made KPC a no-brainer for us. And you are a very large company where you are able to produce large scale for us, which we had looked at some of the smaller companies that are just producing here in the States. And number one, they were smaller, so they didn't actually have the ability to meet the quality control standards that you do. They hadn't been around as long. They didn't have as much of the sort of high-tech machinery. And they actually didn't have the herb choices either. You guys have a wide selection of all of the pharmacopoeia for us to utilize within our formulas, where a lot of these smaller companies that are either local or American don't have that. So everything together, you know, made us decide that we wanted to work with you guys. And it's been such a pleasure. I mean, you're amazing. I mean, everyone knows that, right? We all know Rose is amazing. But everyone in the company is amazing, and you all get back to us very quickly, and you've gone above and beyond, you know, to make sure that everything has gone smoothly for us. And for people who don't know about manufacturing, because I didn't before I started this process, you know, there's so many steps. We had to, of course, find a labeler and do design and do a lot of things here first. But you guys were able to take care of all of the manufacturing and the quality and all of the sourcing and everything for us, keep us updated throughout the process. And then we just sent you the labels that we wanted put on our bottles. You were able to find the bottles that we wanted, right? We got to choose from a large selection of colors and sizes, and you found exactly what we needed. You took the labels that we sent you, you put them on, then you sealed them, and then you were able to ship them back. So there were a lot of steps in our learning process along the way. It ended up taking us a while to figure everything out, but ultimately everything, you know, happened the way it was supposed to happen through you guys' professionalism and being able to get the product to us.
That's awesome. Oh, I am so glad I was able to walk through the process with you guys. And this is something you and I discuss. Some people might come to KPC and be like, well, here's a product, here's maybe a project for you guys, and I want to work with you guys. But we're also selective on who we work with too, because we want people who will be a partner with us, just like you. You and Elysia are our partner. We're here to help. We want to guide you through every step of the way. It's not just everybody that contacts us, okay, we're going to sign a contract and let's do projects together. That's not how we work. We want to make sure our vision align and to help your vision come true too, because to you, quality is important. So if quality to you is important to you, then definitely we match in that sense. We match as a partner to be able to work together. And something you mentioned earlier, you know, some people will reach out to us and say, hey, can you blend the product for me? No, KPC does not do that. We decoct the herbs together.
Which is the most effective way to do it.
Right? So to us, decoction is so important. This is how herbs were supposed to be taken and how herbs are supposed to be done.
Well,
So
and I wanted to touch on one more thing there as well.
yes, of course.
You, you guys are a family-run business, and
Yes.
it's a huge business, but it's family-run. It's still
Yes.
family-owned, and
Yes.
so many of you are all a part of the family in the, you know, in the important positions, and that's very important because, as we all know, a lot of companies these days, people get big ideas that they just want to start a company, they want to sell a lot of a product, make a lot of money, and then they don't necessarily care about the quality, or they want to just make money and sell it off. You guys have been in this for so long.
Thank you.
Because it's in your heart and it's in your family, and you want to keep the ethical quality and the familial feeling. And you all are so nice and so friendly, and it's a lot more meaningful than a company that just has people working for it who don't really care.
I'm so glad you mentioned that. Thank you. It's such an honor to hear that. I mean, I came back, I done other businesses, and then I came back to family business because to us, this is a family business that we're trying to keep together. Of course, you know, we're not just cooking herbs in our kitchen. We have standards that we have to follow. But to us, we take all of our business and we take all of our partners to heart. Like, you are a piece of us. You're working with us, and we want to have you grow with us, and that's why we vet through carefully who our partners are. And just like yourself, you guys have been amazing to work with for us too. So it was so happy when it's like when we heard, oh, Gretchen wants to reach out to us and work with us. Yes, so it's awesome. Can you tell me what products you're currently selling right now at Herbal You? Because some people in the audience may be interested in buying a bottle or two here and there.
Thank you. Yeah. So our company is called Herbal You, YOU, like Herbal You. And our website is www.myherbalu.com. And you can go to our website online. We have a blog. We have information about our company and our founders and our first product. You can also, of course, follow us on Instagram at myherbalu or Facebook, yada, yada. So even though we've been around for about 2 years now, we just got our first product out at the beginning of this year. And ironically, it was right before all of this COVID hit. So things have been a little slow going in the first couple months here. But, oh, by the way, our first product is on Amazon. So if you want to buy it, you can just Google Recover You, and it looks like this, and it's Herbal You, Recover You. Look at the beautiful bottle. This is all KPC, folks. This is,
thank you.
So you can just Google this on Amazon and you can purchase it. So our first product, I always have to chuckle about this because here I am talking about how herbal medicine can bring you to health and homeostasis and balance your body. And our first product is actually kind of funny because what it actually is it's a hangover cure.
Oh, I actually need that.
So the thing is that as a practitioner, I've spent so many years helping patients to have formulas for chronic disorders and lifestyle disorders. And those formulas need to be catered and customized to each individual person based on their constitution and based on what's going on with their body at that given time. We call it a pattern in Chinese medicine. But what I found was that over the years, working with lots of individuals, the thing that kept constantly coming up was that I would have people come into my office and say, I'm going to a bachelorette party this weekend and I'm going to get so drunk and it's going to screw up my treatment. Do you have anything for me? Or, I'm having a wedding that I'm going to go to and I just don't want to feel hungover the next day. And so there's this herbal formula that I've been prescribing for almost a decade that is really good. And, there's a lot of hangover formulas out there in the market that are just like vitamin C and a couple of vitamins. And it's not really anything specific that's really going to help your hangover. It just is a little bit of a vitamin boost. The herbs that are in Recover You are actually herbs that clear away the symptoms of a hangover because they have the ability to balance out your body after you put in alcohol into your body. In Chinese medicine, we call it damp heat. And damp heat can be something that's from spicy food or sugary food or eating too much or greasy food. And it's classic for alcohol consumption. These herbs actually help to drain out that damp heat out of your body. What they do is they reduce inflammation. They're neuroprotective to help your brain function and not feel brain cloudiness the next day. They actually help your liver metabolize the alcohol and drain out the negative effects of the alcohol and the toxins that are in there in your liver. And they help to boost your digestion. So it's a fantastic formula to actually strengthen you not only prevents symptoms, which it does, and it actually works too well. I've actually had to cut some people off in the past because they said, oh, I'm drinking more now because I don't have a hangover. And I was like, that's not actually what I want. Like, that's bad. So it works really well, and actually helps you, as we say, it helps you recover. So that's our first formula. We actually have a second formula that's going to be coming out. We have a tincture that's being made right now, and then we're going to be reaching out to KPC in another month or so to make our capsules for our large quantity capsules. And it's called Protect You. And of course, in response to what is going on right now in the world with people being concerned about their immunity.
Yes.
Protect You. Yeah. Protect You is a classic. It's a combination of a classical Chinese formula, of course, is Yuping Fengsan, right, which we all know.
Yes.
That is helpful to boost your immune system. But then we've added in a number of herbs that have been used in China and in Korea to be working with people who have COVID. So herbs that are clearing out toxins and heat toxins. And then we've also combined in to make this more modern and recognizable to Americans, which is who our populations we're selling to. We've added in an elderberry syrup base into the tincture and into both the capsules that we're working with KPC and with the tincture. We're also adding in some additional medicinal mushrooms, you know, some reishi, some things that are going to help to boost the immune system that people have heard of. Because a lot of my patients say, Chinese herbs, I don't know what they are. The names sound unfamiliar. I don't know if I want to take them. So whenever I talk to patients, and as we've been creating these formulas, we're trying to refer to the herbs in a way where people think that they're more familiar. We use the common names or the Latin botanical names instead of the Chinese name because people are more apt to take them that way. Right.
So I have we're coming to the end of the time in a 30-minute. Time flies back when you're having good conversations for sure. I wanted to ask you why you choose capsules, because for most people we're like, well, let me just do, or well, you know, why don't we do granules? Why do you choose capsules? Because doesn't granule digest better? You know?
Yeah, you know, here's the thing. Compliance is very important. I love herbs. I love boiling them up raw. I love the taste of them. I love the smell of them. They're so earthy and so acrid. And then the bitter taste. I even love bitter. Most Americans don't. They think, it's icky.
Yeah.
It's not icky, but it is a taste that is unfamiliar to them. And so what I've found over this past decade of practicing is when I try to give patients either a raw formula or granules where they have to mix it in and drink it, most of the time they don't like the taste of it and they're less apt to take it in the frequency that they should. And so because we are trying to market this to a large scale audience and to people who we may not have direct communication with to explain the benefits of the taste and the granules, we are putting it in capsules because compliance is the most important. It doesn't matter how great the herb is if they're not even going to take it.
Yeah, that's very, very true. It doesn't matter how great it is. If they're not going to take it, it's not going to work.
Yeah, and all Americans are used to taking capsules. Yeah. That's how we take our pharmaceuticals and our supplements and vitamins anyways.
Perfect. So we're coming on to the end of the time. Gretchen, thank you so much for, again, joining us. Is there anything else that you would like to share with us other than obviously go to your website to purchase your product, follow you on Instagram?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, please follow me personally, Gretchen Badami on Instagram. Follow My Herbal You on Instagram, on Facebook. Go to our website, check out our blog. I write a blog and my colleague Elysia writes a blog. We are writing a lot of information on there. And, you know, look for regular products. And if you're someone who ever consumes alcohol, even if it's just one drink, as I've gotten older, I have a little bit of a difficulty. Even if I have one glass of wine or one margarita, I feel it the next day. So even if you just are drinking normal, which hopefully everyone is, don't overconsume. You know, a product like Recover You is really helpful to just make you have optimum performance the next day. So that's our hope with this company. And all of the future formulas that we're going to put out, including the immune formula. But about KPC, everyone, listen, go to KPC, check out their herbs, really do your due diligence to learn about the quality of their company because they are the real deal. They're not trying to sugarcoat anything or gloss over anything. They have all of their information out there for you to see because they are so thorough and such a good manufacturer. So I'm honored to know them and work with them, and I hope to continue.
We're honored to work with you too. Well, thank you so much for this time. And again, just last thing, we're going to be posting this on our Instagram. So if there's anything that you like to rehear or just kind of brush up on, definitely look at our Instagram and follow us. Well, Gretchen, thank you again. It's so good to reconnect with you, even though it's only on live chat.
Great, Rose. I love seeing you and I love talking with you, and I can't wait to continue working with you in the future.
Thank you. You have a wonderful weekend. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone, for joining in. Bye-bye.
Bye.